Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnnieMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future home buyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of home ownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.annie-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@annie-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923, AnnieMac Home Mortgage, an equal housing lender, American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC, DBA AnnieMac Home Mortgage, LoFi Direct, Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent, License Lender, Broker Number ML 338923, Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License Number MC 338923, Rhode Island License Lender, License Number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley. And Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is his availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this. They lob it to him. He taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach in college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3. He's done his part.
Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I'm Steve Risser, along here with Justin D'Onofrio, and we are here week 7 of the NFL season, and we got a great matchup in week 7 on Sunday Night Football as the 5-1 Dolphins face the 5-1 Eagles. The Dolphins, the most points and yards of any team in the NFL after 6 weeks, so they're playing outstanding. Tua is right now, I think, the front runner for the MVP. With Tyreek Hill, with Jalen Waddle. Unfortunately, you won't see Devon Achane in this game, who you would probably like coming out of A. I bet you liked him coming out. You watched him last year at A&M. He pretty much carried that team last year at A&M.
Yeah.
Raheem Mostert. Their defense is still pretty good, too, with the additions of David Long. You got Van Ginkel on that defense. They're going to be getting Jalen Ramsey back, too, so good things are definitely coming to Miami. And they face the defending NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles. And the Eagles I know they haven't played great, but they're still 5-1. They're still 5-1, so this should be a really, really good game between these two teams. I think it's going to be up and down the field. I think Tua is going to have another big game against the Eagle defense that could potentially not have Darius Slay or Jalen Carter again this week. So I think Tua has a big game. And I do think DeAndre Swift has a big game for the Eagles. I do think Jalen Hurts definitely plays a lot better than he did last week. I think it comes right down to the end with either Tua with the ball in his hands and leading a game-winning drive, or Jalen Hurts having the ball in his hands, and the same thing happening last week. He doesn't get it done. I got Miami going to 6-1, winning this game 31-30. But Justin, can Jalen Hurts bounce back this week and get the Eagles to 6-1?
Yeah, I think he does. I got the Eagles 31-24 in this one. Yeah, you mentioned the Dolphins have an historic offense. The numbers that they're putting up, it's been awesome. But I think the one thing I worry about the Dolphins is you look at 4 of their 5 wins. The Patriots, the Broncos, the Giants, and the Panthers. Those are 4 of the worst 5 teams in all of football right now. And I'm not trying to take any away from that because their offense is explosive. But like the one game we saw them, they played the Bills. Their defense could not hold up. Their offense the Bills did a really good job defensively in that game. I think Dolphins are a really good team. It sounds like Lane Johnson will be okay. That was kind of a huge loss.
Yeah, that turned that game around on Sunday. That definitely turned that game around on Sunday when he got hurt against the Jets.
Yeah, and with the sprained ankle, like if he can't play, maybe I do lean Miami, but it sounds like he's gonna play, and I feel like in this one, AJ Brown's gonna have a big game. I expect him to go over 100 points in this one, and I think the Eagles' offense just does enough in this one to outscore Miami, and I think their defense, and I think I trust the Eagles' defense a little bit more here to make a stop. Again, they just can't turn the football over. That last interception by Hurts, he just stared down his wide receiver.
That's inexcusable. That cannot happen.
Yeah.
That's why, in my opinion, he's not an elite quarterback because that just can't happen. You cannot throw that interception. That can't happen. Top quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes doesn't do that. If you want to be Patrick Mahomes, you can't throw that pick. That cannot happen. That cannot happen at all.
No, especially in that moment, in that situation, you can't.
In that situation where you're giving the ball back to Zach Wilson late in the game. Zach Wilson. Yeah. What are the chances that he's going to beat you? Not good.
Mm-hmm. No. That's why I was surprised they didn't just kind of run it, punt it, and say, "Okay, Zach, go 70 yards and beat me." Like we saw a lot of bad coaching decisions on Saturday and Sunday. There was some very
especially
bad
from that
decisions.
Oregon team, especially from Dan Lanning.
Yeah,
could cause them to get to the college football playoff there.
Yeah, that one hurts. They have to get the rematch. But yeah, this should be a fun one. This is gonna be an entertaining one Sunday night. But I think I think the Eagles right now. I'm gonna still take Philly to bounce back this week and knock off Miami.
And you made a really good point about the Dolphins. Looking at the teams they played, yeah, they beat the. I mean, I don't beat the Chargers, but still, they're kind of a pretender. We saw on Monday night they're a pretender. They beat the Patriots, terrible team. They beat the Giants, not a good team. They beat the Panthers, terrible team. So, yeah, you look at the teams that the Dolphins have beaten. They just haven't really beaten good teams. And when they played, the one time they played a good team, they lost. And look at this Dolphins team historically. They have not been great in the postseason. But I think the culture is changing McDaniel, but they have not been great in the postseason. So that's a really good point about the Dolphins. Look at the schedule they play. Because this is a game right here. If the Dolphins want to be considered like the Dolphins want to be considered right there with Kansas City as one of the top teams in the AFC, I feel like they got to win this game.
Yeah, absolutely they do, and they got to keep pace with Buffalo as well. In that division, it's more likely Buffalo's going to win this week, and Buffalo's already got the tiebreaker over them. I know they'll play week 18, in which could determine division. Who knows? But yeah, this is a huge one for Miami. Yeah, because I think Miami's still a great team, and they're going to put up a lot of points against a lot of teams. But like again, they get blown out again to a team that did make the playoffs last year. It's kind of like, all right, you kind of are they a little bit more of a pretender? So
you start to question them. If they get blown out here, you definitely start to question them. Even though they don't have Jalen Ramsey, they get blown out here, you start to question them. Lose a close game, you still question them a little bit because they really haven't proven, as you said, that they could beat good teams.
Yeah, that's the thing. And again, we'll see them in a couple weeks. They'll play out in Germany against the Chiefs soon. But like they got the Cowboys late in the year. They got the Ravens on the road late. Like after like the Chiefs, like there's they got the Jets twice. They got like the Commanders. They got the Raiders. Like their schedule's not great. Like they could, they have a schedule that's very manageable and they could pull off a lot of wins. So like we don't, until like December, we're not really going to see Miami playing a ton of huge games. So yeah, like this is a game where they could really prove a lot to kind of the world, especially being on a Sunday night. The only game, only football game going on where the spotlight's on them. They can kind of really show out and kind of put their mark on that. This is a team that could make a run to a Super Bowl this year.
Absolutely. Now, I think we know both these teams are Super Bowl contenders. I think the big question is which one of these two teams has a better chance to get to the Super Bowl? And in my opinion, I'm picking the Dolphins to win this week, but I still do think the Eagles have a better chance to win the Super Bowl because, in my opinion, the NFC is just not as deep. I mean, really, it's the 49ers, the Lions, maybe I'm not even going to say the Cowboys. That was a sloppy game. So it's really their competition to get to the Super Bowl is the Lions and the 49ers. That's pretty much it. For a team like the Dolphins, they got the Bills, they got the Chiefs, they got the Ravens. I didn't even say they have Jacksonville. They even have Cincinnati if Burrow can be healthy. It's just such a deeper conference. So that's why, to answer this question, I would definitely say the Eagles. Even though I think the Dolphins are playing better right now, I would still say the Eagles have a better chance to get to the Super Bowl. Better roster and not as deep of a conference.
Yeah, I'm with you there too because I think it's very likely the Philly's going to win the division. Now, with Miami's schedule, they got a great shot to win that division. But if they don't win that division, you're going to have to play 3 road games. And you mentioned the teams. You're going to have to go up to Cincinnati. You're going to have to go up to KC. You might have to go up to Buffalo. With their offense, that offense might have a tough time in January hitting explosive plays like they do in 30-degree weather with wind, with possible snow. that'd be tough to overcome. So I'm with you. Like and the Eagles, I'm with you with the Eagles too. Because yeah, like outside of kind of the Lions, the Niners, there's not much else competition there. And I feel good about the Eagles winning the division. Again, Miami definitely came with their schedule, but Buffalo's right there, and I think Buffalo's going to start to kind of turn things around very soon. And they're going to be in a dogfight there to win that division.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, Miami definitely will be in a dogfight. And the thing about Miami is they've been great at home offensively. They've only scored over 30 points on the road once, and that was at the Chargers. That's a good weather game. When they went to Buffalo and they went to New England, they only scored 24. And I would say only scored 24. I wish my team would score 24 points in a game.
Yeah,
or
me
your
too.
team would score 24 points in a game, but they scored 24 in New England and 20 at Miami. So their offense hasn't been as effective on the road. I definitely will take the Eagles just because of the depth in the conference, and the Dolphins just haven't played as well on the road. But I do think the Dolphins win this week because I think they're playing a little bit better than the Eagles right now, and I think they're more healthy than the Eagles are right now.
Yeah, I could totally see that happen this week. Yeah, the Miami's a really good team. Yeah, venturing down the road, like that's kind of the worry here with them is like kind of weather game. Like when they go up to New York in November, I think week 18 they got to go. Or no, they actually no, it'll be at home against Buffalo, which will help them out big time. But yeah, like weather-wise, Miami's always gonna be perfect weather, and you kind of see with Ohio State at times, like when they go up Michigan, it's always 20 degrees. It's tough to kind of run that type of offense at times when it gets late into November, December. So yeah, the Eagles kind of the competition in the NFC is a lot easier to get through than the AFC because you got so many great teams and. Even like if a team like the Browns sneak in with that defense, that's not going to be an easy team to beat.
And if Watson could somehow play the way he played in 2020, you never know there.
Yeah. It's just, like anybody I feel like in the AFC, could kind of pick you off any given day because, in the playoffs, because, there's some really good defenses, some really good quarterbacks. So, I think, Miami's going to have a much difficult time getting there. But if they can get home field advantage, they get that one seed somehow. Yeah, they'd have a really, really good shot, I feel like.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So now we will move on to another big game this week, and that is between the 5-1 Lions and the 4-2 Ravens. And I think this is going to be obviously another close competitive game. I think that Lamar Jackson will do a pretty good job in this game. I think he'll play well in this game. I think Jared Goff will play well, but not as well as Lamar Jackson. I think this Ravens defense is going to force some turnovers from Jared Goff. And we'll see if Jahmyr Gibbs plays. We know David Montgomery is not going to play. We'll see if Jahmyr Gibbs plays. But I do think the Ravens are a good team stopping the run. And I think that's going to help them in this game. I think it's going to force a couple turnovers from Jared Goff. I think this is going to be closer competitive again. I think it's either going to be with the ball in Lamar's hands and him leading a game-winning drive, or it's going to be Jared Goff having the ball in his hands. And I think he doesn't get the Lions to where they need to get to in this game. And that's why I got the Ravens going to 5-2. I got the Ravens winning this game 24-20. But Justin, can Jared Goff lead the Lions to a 6-1 start?
I think he does. I got the Detroit 24-21. Both these teams have gone out to a really fast start this year. The Lions are outscoring their opponents in the first quarter 51-10, and the Ravens are outscoring their opponents 41-6. So, both teams done a really good job kind of jumping on their opponents. And I feel like Detroit's gonna kind of have that edge in that this week with Baltimore coming back from London. And I think when Detroit gets out in front, Jared Goff kind of does a good job, of making plays. Again, I think he'll do a good job not turning the football over. I think he's done more than being just a game manager. Again, without Montgomery, maybe not with Gibbs, maybe the running game isn't as successful this week. But I think with the way Detroit's defensive line's played up front as well, I think they're going to kind of slow down Baltimore. And I think Baltimore's offense, we're seeing they had a lot of red zone opportunities last week. Like their offense just hasn't clicked yet. And I feel like it could be tough to do that again this week against a very good Detroit defense.
Absolutely, absolutely. This should be a really good game between these two teams. And the big question, though, for the Detroit Lions right now is they're 5-1. But the big question for them is are they the best team in the NFC? I think they're obviously definitely top three with the Eagles and the 49ers. But I think they're close, but I just don't think they are. I still think even though they lost last week, I think the 49ers are because they lost McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel in that game. And they had Trent Williams out at a time in that game. So I think the 49ers defense is better. Quarterbacks are pretty even, but I think the running game is obviously better with San Francisco. I think San Francisco's got a little more depth at the receiver position, but the Lions are getting close with Jameson Williams coming back. But I do think the Niners have more depth at receiver. I think the Niners just have a better overall roster. but Detroit is there. You could argue right now Detroit is probably the second best team. And the way the Eagles have played, you could argue that Detroit's the second best team in the conference. And looking at the division they're in, I would not be surprised if they wind up with the number 2 seed.
Yeah, I wouldn't be either. Because they're going to clinch that division by, they might clinch that thing by Thanksgiving weekend.
Oh, but they beat the Packers on Thanksgiving. I think that division's over.
Yeah. So they're gonna they should go 6-0 against that division with how bad it is right now. And with the way the quarterbacks have kind of played in without Jefferson there with the Vikings. But yeah, like right now I have Detroit still behind the Niners as well with you. Yeah, it took a lot for the Niners to lose. Like then they had a chance to win. Like I didn't like that Shanahan try. Like I felt like they should have been a little bit more aggressive there instead of kind of just, all right, we're in field goal range, we're just gonna try to kick it. But because Purdy did lead them back down the field. And you mentioned it took a lot for the Niners to lose that game. They lost McCaffrey, they lost Deebo Samuel, as you mentioned too. They didn't have Trent Williams, and they were still right there against a really good Cleveland defense. So I still have the Niners right now. It's the best team in the NFC, and look, because it sounds like McCaffrey is gonna sound like he's gonna play Monday night. So he'll be back playing against the Vikings. Like I think right now still the Niners are better. The Eagles and Detroit are right neck and neck. Like you can make a case for either one to be the second best team in the conference, but I'm with you. I still got the Niners right now. The way they just beat the Dallas Cowboys a couple weeks ago was just an absolute impressive beatdown.
Absolutely. That's not a great Dallas team, but it's still a good Dallas team. A Dallas team that's 4-2. Yeah, and the way they beat them. Yeah, you look at some of the games. Yes, I know Detroit beat Kansas City, but that was without Travis Kelce and Chris Jones. I know Chris Jones, that's on the Chiefs. That's the Chiefs issue. That has nothing to do with the Lions. But yeah, they beat a Kansas City team without Travis Kelce, and the Lions' one loss was to a good Seattle team, and then they beat Atlanta. They beat Green Bay. They beat Tampa last week, and they beat Carolina. So really, outside of the Chiefs, though, they really haven't beaten a great team. If you look at the 49ers, they destroyed Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh on opening day, and they destroyed Dallas. So I would absolutely agree. I'm definitely, even though the Niners lost last week, I'm still going with them as the best team.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, you did talk about Detroit. Like they played, they did play that, the playoff team in Seattle last year. Goff made a couple of bad throws in that one, and that got him beat. And that was like really only one game that Geno's played well all year too. So yeah, like the other teams, like you played Tampa, you played Carolina, you played Atlanta. Like those are three teams that Carolina stinks. Tampa and Atlanta may win the division, but they're gonna have like 8 wins. Like they're not really impressive teams. So yeah, like Detroit hasn't, outside of Kansas City, hasn't really beat anybody. They've looked good for the most part in kind of all those games besides the Seattle game. But yeah, with like the Niners, the way they went on the road, especially I know I was kind of on the Pittsburgh kind of being better this year, and the way they went in there just absolutely housed them, and that thing wasn't even a contest. And and then what they did Dallas Sunday night a couple weeks ago, just that's a Dallas team that's going to make the playoffs. Yeah, it's a pretender, but that's still a Dallas team that's probably going to win 9
they'll be in the
games.
postseason. They might they might win a playoff game. I mean, they won't go past the divisional round, but they'll definitely be in the playoffs. Absolutely.
Yeah, so like the way they've kind of taken care of business most of the time this year, it has been really impressive. And the way, again, Brock Purdy's a good quarterback. Again, he won't make that. He made a mistake last week, but like he does a really good job of kind of with those weapons, and the way Christian McCaffrey, they lean on him a lot in that offense. And if he can play this week and kind of play the next 16 games, I wouldn't be shocked to see him win MVP because he means a lot to that offense.
Oh yeah, you saw that. You definitely saw that in that game against the Browns. You saw that he was the true MVP, not Brock Purdy. You saw what happened to that offense when they lost Christian McCaffrey. So we'll see what happens between the Lions, the Niners, and the Eagles. Should be very interesting going forward. But we'll now take the Ravens angle on this. And the question with the Ravens are, should the Ravens be the favorite to win the AFC North? And it's tough for me to say, but I'm going to say yes because I like the quarterback. I like the way the quarterback has been playing. I do like the way he's not turned the ball over that much. I think the quarterback has played pretty well. I think the defense has played pretty well. I like the head coach. Cincinnati has gotten better, though. Burrow has started to play well, has gotten better, but I don't know if Burrow's completely 100%. The Browns, that quarterback situation's kind of is I don't trust that quarterback situation right now with what's going on with Deshaun Watson. Even though that defense played great, I don't trust that quarterback situation. In Pittsburgh, I just see Pittsburgh being like a 9-8 team, an 8-9 win team that's going to try to compete for a playoff spot. And they really don't have that high of a ceiling with Kenny Pickett.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you with the Ravens as well. Like, and they've already played they've already played 3 division games on the road. They went 2-1. So now you get all 3 of those teams at home, at in Baltimore, where they're usually really good at home. And yeah, like with the other teams, like the Bengals should have lost last week. Like Seattle was so bad. There was a lot of bad red zone offenses too last week. That was another thing.
That was really Geno Smith cost him that game last week.
Oh, absolutely. He was brutal last week, and yeah, he cost them because like outside the Bengals' first 2 drives, they really didn't do anything the rest of the game. So yeah, like the Bengals are starting to figure out a little bit. Maybe after this bye here, they'll get it going a little bit. Yeah, like Pittsburgh, their defense is going to win them. So it's Pitt and Cleveland are like kind of the same. Their defense is going to win the game. Like their defense is going to keep them in every game. Can their quarterbacks or their offense make enough plays to score enough points? So both those teams, yeah, I see them kind of being 8-9 win teams. Maybe they make a wild card, but yeah, I see the Ravens win 11 games. And with the Bengals schedule coming up, they get the Bills, the Ravens, they get Steelers at home, Jacksonville. Like I think Bengals. It's gonna be tough for the Bengals to get more than like 10 wins, and I think Baltimore is gonna get like to at least 11.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be interesting. This is the best division in football, no doubt. I mean, all these teams could win could have a winning record, and all these teams might even make the playoffs. That's how crazy it is. So because 7 teams make the playoffs, they might get every playoff team in the. They probably only get 2 of the. They'll only get 3 teams because the Dolphins and Bills will make the playoffs in the AFC East. But like they're going to probably get 3 playoff teams. There's a good chance they'll get 3 playoff teams from that division. So yeah, I mean, this is a great division. All 4 teams are good football teams, so should be interesting what happens going forward. But we got to move on to the Giants, who are 1-5. But last week, I think they played their best game of the year. Now, I don't love Brian Daboll going after players and calling them out when he's involved in these situations. He was involved in that play. That last play of the half, I know Tyrod Taylor audible, but he was involved. He called that play with that run option there. So come on now. And then he's calling out Tyrod Taylor. He's going after him. He's going after him before the half. And then the one play where no one's talking about from Brian Daboll last week, 4th and inches, and he kicks a field goal. I've been a supporter of Brian Daboll. He's got to stop calling out players because he's not doing. Let's be honest, he's not doing a good job either this year. Yes, he can blame the roster. He can blame the quarterback play, but he's not doing a good job either. And he made some bad calls on Sunday night. The 4th and inches and then that play before the half, those are bad calls. Those are game-costly calls right there. Those cost teams games. So, it's a rough situation. It could really go either one or 2 ways for the Giants. They could build off this performance against the Bills, or it could go really, really south. And I think this game is going to determine where this season goes. Right now they're 1-5. If they win this game against the Commanders, I feel like they're going to stabilize things and, maybe end up, 6-7 wins. I think they'll stabilize things. They lose this game to the Commanders at home, I think it falls apart and they go 3-14 and they get a top 3 or 4 pick. So I think this game is going to determine the direction of the season. Now, I know personally they're probably not a playoff team. And they're definitely not a playoff team. They're 1-5. But yeah, this game I feel like is going to determine, will things be stabilized or are things going to be a disaster? And personally, I actually think the way this defense played on Sunday night, I think they carry into the Washington game. I think they forced some turnovers. Sam Howell, he's played pretty well with Eric Bieniemy, but I think the Giants defense, who's forced 5 turnovers the last 2 games, I think they forced some turnovers from Sam Howell. And I do think Saquon Barkley does a good job running the football. If Tyrod Taylor starts, I think he protects the football in this game. And that's, in a way, it might be actually better off if Tyrod Taylor plays than Daniel Jones in a game like this, because I think he's got to protect the football in this game. I think the difference in this game is going to be the Giants the Commanders will turn the ball over, and the Commanders won't run the ball as well. And that's why I have the Giants snapping their 4-game winning streak and beating the Commanders 23-20 this week. But Justin, the big question for the Giants is just like I said earlier, are they going to build on their performance from Buffalo, or are they going to go in the other direction and start to fall apart?
Yeah, I get the Giants as well, 21-17. Yeah, I think, I really liked what you said about the Giants and kind of the fight. Because, yeah, like, this is huge for them. Because, again, the way they fought last week, like, if you come out Sunday and you lay an egg, oh, yeah, like, things are
It's
going
going to
to
get worse.
fall apart
Things are
very
going to get
quickly.
really, really bad if they lose this game. In any way. If they lose this game, things are going to get really, really. It's going to be 2017 bad. It's going to be really, really bad.
Yeah, it's going to turn very ugly very quickly in New York, and especially because the Jets are now at 500. Like, that's
And they play
they're
the
starting to
Jets the next week.
Yeah, oh yeah, they do. Yeah, so that'll be a fun one. Those two would be another defensive battle. But yeah, like with the Giants this week, you gotta show some fight, just like you did this week or last week against Buffalo. And look, like Washington's defense stinks. Like, Desmond Ritter,
Yeah,
who I think starting to play.
last week was more on Desmond Ritter than it was on than it was on the Commanders' defense. Desmond Ritter was just absolutely terrible in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, absolutely. Like they gave up another 400 yards of offensive Commanders gave up. I think that's like five straight weeks now. That they've done that. Like their defense isn't good. Like I think it comes down to what quarterback protects the football and what offensive line keeps his quarterback upright more. And I think the Giants right now will, because Sam Howell's already been sacked 34 times. Like that's another offensive line that's been horrifically bad.
Wink, bring the pressure.
Yeah.
Bring the pressure this week.
Yep, and I could see Thibodeau having a big day, getting a couple sacks, getting out there, and I think the Giants do enough with Tyrod Taylor and that offense. And you kind of saw what Barkley he's a huge difference maker in that offense. Like,
you saw him on that one drive. You saw him on that drive in the second half when they went for a field goal on 4th and inches. And that's the other thing. Yeah.
What happened to his aggressiveness? Like last year he seemed to be the ultra aggressive guy. Now it's turning conservative.
I know. I know. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Last game was definitely the game I was the most critical of Brian Daboll in.
Yeah, like he wasn't great. Like going at the Tyrod, like so maybe he wasn't just picking on Daniel Jones. And like maybe he's got to, maybe he goes after what at bulk. Where I didn't like, because like if it's a run pass option, that must have been. He must have opted for the run because that must have been the run look they were looking for.
But why is there even an option on that play? That's just throw.
I don't know.
Take one step, throw the ball away. If you don't have anything there, just throw it away. You have no timeouts left. There should not be a run option at all.
No, and I agree that, but yeah, I agree. Like, throw the ball because you give yourself 3 chances there instead of 1. Yeah. It's just, I don't get it. I don't get some of these coaching decisions of late, in college or NFL. It's weird, but I think the Giants bounce back this week, and I think they do figure out to kind of end this losing streak here because, Washington, they're okay. And, I think Giants, at home, they've done well against the Commanders over the years. They're, I know they struggled against the division, but it's the one team they usually knock off.
Played well. Even throughout this horrible stretch, the one thing they've done well is beat Washington.
Yeah. Washington's had a couple sprinkled of they've gotten to playoffs. They haven't been great, but they've been a little bit better than the Giants. Not saying much, but yeah, it's one team they probably have some confidence against, and I think at home they figure out a way to win this football game.
Yeah, I think they do too. I think because of the way the defense played on Sunday night, I think that's the reason why I think this defense is starting to come together. Look, Bobby Okereke played really, really well. Dexter Lawrence played well. I think this defense is starting to turn things around. Yeah, they played well against Seattle. They didn't play well against Miami, but they did force turnovers against Miami, and that was a sign of things to come in the Buffalo game. And they forced 2 turnovers again. So I think this defense plays well on Sunday. They force some turnovers, and I do think they bounce back. I do think they win this game and end this losing streak.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah, the Martindale's starting to kind of figure the things out now, and this defense is starting to kind of starting to play better. They did a really good job against Josh Allen and the Bills this weekend, and yeah, I think this is a week. This is definitely a game you got to, you got to get the save. As you mentioned it, you got to say, I know the ship is sinking right now, but you kind of got to, stop it a little bit here this weekend. I think they figure out a way to do it at home.
Absolutely. So we will move on to your team. The Bills head to Foxborough to face the Patriots. I know the Bills didn't play well last week. They won, but they didn't play well. But I think this week this will be an easier game for them. I think they'll be able to run the ball against the Patriots with James Cook and Josh Allen throw a couple touchdown passes. And I think this could end up being the end for Mac Jones. I think he turns the ball over 2 or 3 times. I think it's a disastrous performance for the Patriots offense. And that's why I got the Bills coming in here and winning 27-10. And I don't even know why I'm even asking this question. But, Justin, can the Patriots snap their 4-game losing streak against the Bills. Because we know since Tom Brady left, this team has completely owned the Patriots.
Yeah, it's been flip-flop. What, Brady lost him 3 times,
Three
I think?
times. I think they've beaten him 6 or 7 times since he's left.
Yeah, it's not been pretty. Besides that one windy Monday Night Football game a couple years ago,
Yeah.
I got the Bills 24-10. Yeah, Allen's played pretty well against us, and Diggs. Usually, Bill does a great job of taking away your number one option, but with Diggs, if you don't count that Monday night windy game where it was like 13-10 or whatever, Diggs in the 4 of the 5 games and joined the Bills, he's gone for at least 90 yards. We might get Jack Jones back, but he's more of a slot guy. You got no Christian Gonzalez, and it's defense. Now you may not even have Keion White, who's took over, who's starting at the end the last couple of weeks. I don't think he's going to play, and he's been one of our better defensive players this year. So it's another injury on the defensive side to get after the quarterback. And our offense, again, just Devontae Parker, no accountability. I want him cut.
Dropping a ball at the end of the game like that? Come on.
That was, yeah. With Mac Jones kind of in the position that he's in, you got to help him out there. And he kind of said, oh, well, they hit me in the fingertips, so I don't know if I could call it. I'm like, it hit you squarely in the hands. Juju stinks.
Yeah, you knew something when the Dolphins traded him to you guys inside the division. You knew something was up there.
Yeah.
Juju's been awful. Juju's been terrible.
Yeah. He's bad. I hope maybe we see Keyshawn Booty this weekend. I know he was not happy that he was scratched healthy scratch, so we'll see if he's activated. Again, the offensive line, Vidarius Lowe just did not even stand a chance last week against Max Crosby.
Did you see that play where Max Crosby got past Mike Gesicki and Lowe on one play to get that safety?
Yep. Yeah, people are blaming Mac Jones. Like, how do you blame Mac Jones for that? There's nothing he can do. Mac Crosby was in his face in about 2 seconds. So that's the thing. Like, people are absolutely destroying Mac, and I get it, but it's not totally his fault here, and that's the issue. And this team's brutal. And I think on offense, they're just guys who are just kind of shut down. Like, I give Elliott a lot of credit. He's playing well, and he's going out there and he's giving it his all. Juju, I don't think is. I don't think Parker is.
No.
I think Stevens is trying, but there's just nowhere for him to run the football. Like, I think some of these guys are checked out, and this is only gonna get uglier. And I really look at the schedule. We may beat the Colts. We may beat the Commanders. I don't think we're beating your Giants.
No.
And on Sunday we play Christmas Eve. We play at Denver on a Sunday night.
Yeah.
Maybe we get that one. That's going to be an ugly football game. I don't know if that's probably going to get flexed out, I would think.
It should.
I don't know how this team wins. It should. I don't know how this team gets more than 3 wins. I really don't.
It's a terrible football team. It's a terrible football team with a terrible roster and a head coach that still thinks that the head coach that still thinks he could build a team like Tom Brady's still the quarterback, which he was 100% wrong about. 100% wrong building the team just like Tom Brady was there. He thought, anybody could come into New England and play quarterback. That it was so false. He was so wrong. He should be fired, as well as the entire coaching staff. They got to clean house completely. No bringing in Gerard and Mayo and keeping in the family. You've went from the best team in the NFL in 5 years to one of the worst. You got to clean house everywhere. You got to clean house. It's got to be over in New England.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's to that point. I said last week, I think the only way you could save his job, he wins 7 games. There's no way.
That's not happening. That's not happening.
No, it's done. It sounds like it's probably gonna happen. There's talks if they go 1-7, that Kraft's gonna can him. I don't think he's gonna do in the middle of the season.
Not in the middle of the year, but he'll keep him there till the end. But it's gonna be very ugly for New England this year. Yeah,
it will be. This is not gonna get any prettier. The Raiders should have blown them out. They were 1 for 6 in the red zone. This game should have been a lot worse.
Yeah, but the problem is the Raiders aren't really. They're 3-3, but they're not that good of a team. The Raiders have beaten the Broncos, the Patriots, and I know the Packers was, but that team's not even that good. So yeah, the Raiders they're not as good as their record. Yeah, they should have blown them out. And the sad part about it though for the Patriots, Brian Hoyer started in the second half of the game. Brian Hoyer. And you got that. You gave up that big play right after you had momentum. After you scored and had momentum, you gave up that big play, and then J.C. Jackson at the J.C. Jackson had that terrible penalty there when your defense could have gotten off the field. Just mistake after mistake, not making the big play when it matters. Just all signs of a terrible football team.
Yep, that's a great point. I was actually, I wanted to bring up that point. The Patriot way. This ain't it. This team, they got
listen,
none of this.
And listen, Tom Brady I feel like, meant more than the Patriot way, but the Patriot way definitely has a ton of value because they won 6 Super Bowls, even though I think Brady was most responsible. But yeah, it's just at least the last 2 years, or even since 2020, the Patriot way is not the Patriot way at all.
No, it hasn't. There's way too many mistakes right now. That haven't happened. Like again, I talked about last week. The special teams even stink now. Like that used to be a critical kind of advantage that the Patriots had. That's why they kind of made the playoffs a couple years ago. Their special teams made a couple of huge plays there, and since then they had that one block field against the Dolphins with that kind of coming all the way up from the edge there. But it's just not the same team, and it's disappointing, and you got to hoping for that number 1 pick, but there's a lot of bad teams out there.
That's the problem. You got the Cardinals, you got the Bears, even the Giants. They don't pick it up. If they lose on Sunday, you got a lot of 1-5 teams in there. The Panthers, but they don't have a first-round pick, but that's the Bears pick. So a lot of bad teams, a lot of 1-5 in the NFL right now. So we'll see what ends up happening there. But change has definitely got to be made in New England. But we are going to move on to an AFC West matchup in Kansas City as the Chargers take on the Chiefs. And I think this game will be competitive for maybe a half. But again, I can't see Brendan Staley and Justin Herbert going into Kansas City and beating the Chiefs. This team has failed to get to the next level. Brendan Staley needs to be fired at the end of this season. I don't think the Chargers are going to make the playoffs, and Brendan Staley needs to be fired. And I'm sorry, Justin Herbert's not an elite quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He's a top 10 quarterback. He's not elite. Justin Herbert's not elite. Throws another pick. I know he was under pressure, but he threw another bad interception at the end of a game. He had an intentional grounding at the end of a game against the Dolphins in a game they could have won. There's a lot of games the Chargers could have won that, let's be honest, Herbert hasn't stepped up at the end of these games. I mean, he didn't step up at the end of the Titans game. Justin Herbert is good. He's not great. He's definitely proven that this year. And then for this game, I think Kansas City pulls away in the second half. I got the Chiefs winning this one 31-20 over the Chargers. But Justin, can Herbert and the Chargers snap their 3-game losing streak against Kansas City?
No, I don't think that's happened this week. I got the Chiefs 27-20. I think the Chargers could keep this thing kind of close. The Chiefs offense hasn't been great. Again, it's another team last week. They had many opportunities. Can we stop with gimmicky stuff on 3rd and 1, please? With Andy Reid.
I know.
Can we just
give the ball to Pacheco?
And you
got Patrick Mahomes, your quarterback. He can make a play.
I don't get it. I don't know if he's just trying to. I don't know. I don't know why, but they've been kind of it's been a lot of gimmicky. So I don't like it. But Brandon Staley, defensive guy. Their defense is atrocious, and their defense hasn't got any better. And they got talent. They got they got Joey Bosa. They got Khalil Mack.
We got 6 sacks in a game. They have Asante Samuel Jr., Derwin James. They got talent on that defense. And their defense just hasn't gotten better with a defensive mind.
It just I don't know why they keep this guy around, Brandon Staley, and I wonder if Herbert too. It just right now because it just seems like the only receiver he trusts right now is Keenan Allen. Maybe a little bit of Josh Palmer, but that's it. I don't Quinn Johnson. They really haven't been able to get him involved. I think they really miss Mike Williams. I think Herbert could be a really good quarterback. I think he'd get to that elite level. I would love to see them bring in a good offensive-minded head coach to work with Justin Herbert. That's what they need to do this offseason, but it is the Chargers, and they usually screw this type of stuff up. And, because they've been talented for so many years, they just never could kind of get – they always, they always get in their own way here. But I just, the Chargers short week, got to travel to Kansas City, who's going to have 10 days off for this. I got Patrick Mahomes at offense, kind of maybe starting to kind of figure some things out this week, play a little bit better, and they knock off LA this week.
We got the game tomorrow night between the Jaguars and the Saints, and there's a chance that Trevor Lawrence might not play in the game. It looks like he is going to play, but he's going to be banged up. And Derek Carr, I still think he's banged up. I still think he is. He didn't play. Yeah, he threw for a lot of yards, but he didn't play great last week, again, against the Texans. I think this is a defensive game. This is a close game. But I think the difference in this game is the run game. And I think that that Travis Etienne is going to play really well. I think Travis Etienne is going to have a good game on the ground. I think Lawrence will kind of manage this game. I think the Jags defense is going to get pressure on Derek Carr, forced a couple turnovers from the Saints. And I think the Jags get to 5-2. I think they win this game. This Jags defense is a little underrated. They're really good against the run. They do a great job stopping the run. They did that last week. They forced turnovers last week against the Colts. I think they forced a couple this week. And I got the Jags going to 5-2. I got the Jags winning this game 23-17. But Justin, can Carr get the Saints to 4-3?
I think they do. I think the Saints bounce back this week. They win this game 20-13. I worry the Jags a little bit here. They really banged up on the O-line. With the Saints kind of defensive pressure, they're going to be able to bring in. If Lawrence it's the knee. Even, I think even if he's like 90%, he's better than CJ Beathard. But he's not going to be very mobile. He's going to be kind of sitting back there. And I think Saints will get pressure on him. I think the Saints will do a good job stopping the run. I think
ETN's the big key. If ETN doesn't run the ball well, they stop ETN, they have a really good chance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I could see the Saints getting out of there with a win. And the last thing with the Jags I kind of worry about is back-to-back weeks in London. They came home last week, and now you're going back on the road on a short week. Like, that's been a lot of travel. You're seeing a lot of kind of injuries with them right now. I know the Saints are pretty banged up too. I think the Jags are kind of really in need of a bye week soon. I think with the Saints, with Carr, I think they get the ball to Alvin Kamara. Michael Thomas, I think, could have a decent game. I know Olave's, I think, questionable still right now. We'll see if he can give it a go. Like, he's been, they could try to get him. I know they got him involved last week. Like, that was kind of big because Jacksonville secondary isn't great. But yeah, like, Carr's not going to expose you down the field, and I'm with you. I think he's still a little banged up. But I think at home, the Saints usually are a tough place to play at. I think they find a way at home to knock off Jacksonville.
All right, we'll run through the slate. We'll quickly run through the slate. We got an NFC South matchup in Tampa as the Falcons take on the Bucs. And I'm sorry, I cannot trust Desmond Ridder. I think the Tampa defense is going to contain Bijan Robinson. That's all you got to pretty much do against the Falcons is contain him. And that offense does not play well. I do not trust Desmond Ridder. I think he throws a pick or two. Baker Mayfield, I don't think he's great, but I think he makes less mistakes in this game. I think he doesn't turn the ball over, and I think he makes a couple plays in this game against this Falcons defense. And I think this is a close competitive game, and I'm going to go with the home team here. I'm going with the home team. Amazing that the Bucs are going to be in first place again, but this just shows you how terrible this division is again. I got the Bucs beating the Falcons 23-16. But Justin, can Ridder bounce back this week and get the Falcons to 4-3?
No, I got the Tampa Bay Bucs as well here, 20-16. I like Ridder. If you could throw out the mistakes, I think he's starting to kind of play well. Like, they're starting to let him kind of hit some deep shots. Like, he's got to get rid of the mistakes. And I think I'm with you. Like, Tampa Bay with that front defensively, I think they're going to slow down Bijan Robinson. Last couple of weeks, teams have kind of bottled them up. And I think with Tampa Bay, like, this is what's going to happen with Tampa Bay. Whenever they play somebody good, they're going to lose by 2 scores. They play a team like Atlanta, which, they're at the same level or a little bit better than, they're going to win. Like, that's kind of what Tampa's season's going to be. I think it's one of these games where Baker plays well enough, they'll run the ball well enough, come down the end. I think Baker and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers find a way to win at home.
AFC matchup in Indianapolis as the Browns take on the Colts. And I think the Browns defense dictates this game. They force a couple turnovers from Gardner Minshew. I don't think the Colts get into double digits. I think they get held to 9. I'm getting held to 9 points. I think either Watson or PJ Walker, I think they manage the game. And I got the Browns winning this one, going to 4-2, winning this one 24-9 over the Colts. But Justin, can Gardner Minshew get the Colts back over 500?
No, I think he does. I think I'm with you. They're going to really show this week. I got Cleveland 20-10 in this one. I think Minshew's not really a mobile guy. The offensive line is going to have to do a really great job protecting him, and I don't think they're going to be able to. And I think Cleveland's defense could score a touchdown in this one and help out their offense. PJ Walker was okay last week. He made one nice throw there to Amari Cooper. That's all he really has to do. Just kind of throw it to Amari Cooper, let him make a play. I see Indy having a really hard time this week trying to score points.
The bigger story in this with the Indianapolis Colts, though, is Anthony Richardson. He is out for the season, and he's got to learn how to slide and throw from the pocket, or he's not going to survive in this league. He did look like in the 4 games he looked like he belonged, but he's got to learn how to slide. He's got to learn how to throw from the pocket, or he's just not going to last in this league. And this year proved it. Yeah,
I'm with you. He did. Yeah, he looked better than I thought coming in. You were right about that. I was a little worried about him, but yeah, like that's the thing. He's got to learn to get slide, get out of bounds. Stay in the pocket longer. Or yeah, he's gonna get himself killed out there. We've seen it. And even though he's a bigger guy, he's 6'4", 245, but it just doesn't matter. Like, yeah, because even a couple other games, he left early because of injuries. So in 2 other games, I believe it was. So yeah, it's tough. Maybe it's not the worst thing to get kind of this redshirt year now to kind of learn, kind of, just kind of learn the NFL game a little bit more. But yeah, it stinks. And for the Colts, may not be the worst thing here for Anthony Richardson to, to sit out the rest of the year, I guess. It's unfortunate that he's hurt though, but yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not the worst thing for him, but I think this might turn into being a good thing for him, just because he can now learn, he can watch and now learn how to play the game and how to be able to stay healthy and how to be able to stay on the field. But we will move on to a matchup in Chicago as the Raiders travel to Chicago to face the Bears. I think the Raiders are 3-3, but I think they're massively overrated. But they're going to face a terrible quarterback for Chicago this week, so I think this is a low-scoring game. I don't even care if Garoppolo plays or Hoyer plays. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. And I got the Raiders winning this one in Chicago, 17-13. Justin, what do you got here?
Yeah, I got Raiders as well, 17-12. They're going to be 4-3 somehow. And I know my brother's not happy because he wants McDaniels fired, so they keep winning these types of games. McDaniels going to be back for another year. But yeah, this is going to be an ugly football game. Fields is banged up, probably not going to play either. And their running game's banged up as well. Like, they don't have too many running backs right now. I think the Raiders do enough. And Brian Hoyer looked pretty good last week in New England. He tore us apart in the second half. So this Bears defense is not great either. The Raiders make enough plays. They got a little bit more talent. Devontae Adams should have a monster game.
Absolutely. It's going to be an ugly, low-scoring game where Adams is going to make plays. But yeah, there should not be much points in this game between these two teams. Alrighty, we got an interconference matchup in Denver as the Packers take on the Broncos. And yes, Jordan Love has been very inconsistent, but I think in this game they can just rely on Aaron Jones to run the football and put up points. I think he'll actually play well, put up a couple touchdown passes. I think this one comes down to the end. Comes down to the end where the ball's in Russell Wilson's hands. You know what happens when the ball's in Russell Wilson's hands at the end of the game? He doesn't get the job done. I don't think he will this week. That's why I got the Broncos going to 1-6, Packers going to 3-3. And I got the Packers winning it 27-23 over the Broncos. But Justin, can Russell Wilson lead the Broncos to an upset win against the Packers?
No, I don't see. I got Green Bay as well, 21-17. Wilson, that offense right now, Wilson did not look great Thursday night at all. Their offense is just pitiful against KC yet again. They went 96 yards passing. Maybe they get a little bit of a running game going against Green Bay, but Green Bay's coming off the bye. They've only played this for Green Bay. It's going to be their third game in 25 days. So maybe all this practice kind of helps out at Jordan Love and all that. But with how bad Denver's defense is, sounds like Vance Joseph is, very, on the hot seat right now.
Why was he even hired? He was a former coach there. Why was he even hired? Know. That organization has no clue what they're doing. No, they do not. And Sean Payton, it's not been great there. And yeah, they got a lot of, they got tough hill ahead of them. And everyone's kind of on Brady helped out Bill. Where's the Breeze maybe helped out Sean Payton? Yes, Breeze definitely helped out Payton. But on the flip side, Pete Carroll helped out Russell Wilson.
Yeah, that's the guy.
He's had more success than Wilson since he's left. But yes, I do think Breeze kind of carried. That doesn't get talked about a lot. You hear a lot about Rodgers carrying McCarthy. You hear a lot about Brady carrying Belichick. But you don't hear a lot about Breeze carrying Payton. Well, that conversation's got to start because Payton has had a miserable start in Denver.
Yeah, he absolutely has, and it's been ugly there. Their defense is horrific. Their offense they got weapons. Wilson's isn't the same guy, but they do have some weapons. But yeah, they're this team's not very good. They got a long battle ahead of them, and I can't wait. That Christmas Eve game featured Denver. That may be a 10-10 tie.
Exactly. That's gonna be ugly.
That's gonna be this week in Iowa, Minnesota game. 32 over under.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. This game, I think the Packers should win this one against Denver, and the Broncos are just an absolute mess.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad in Denver. They're not very talented at all. They're lucky they got their draft pick this year though for the first round, so that helps a little bit. But we'll see how much longer release Russell Wilson has.
Exactly. All righty, we got the Steelers traveling out to L.A. to face the Rams. There'll be a ton of Steeler fans at SoFi Stadium. I think that's going to help them. I think it is. I think Najee Harris is a big game on the ground. I think Kenny Pickett manages the game. I do think that Matthew Stafford with Nacua and Kupp, they make plays on that offense. But I think it comes down to the end, and I think number 90 is the one who makes the play, getting pressure, getting either a sack or forcing a turnover for Matthew Stafford. That's why I got the Steelers going to 4-2, beating the Rams 27-20. But Justin, can Stafford get the Rams to 4-3?
No, it needs to be difficult. And I got Steelers as well, 23-21 here. I think coming in off the bye for the Steelers, kind of weak to get healthy there. Rams are really banged up at running back right now. I think Zach Evans is going to get majority of the carries, it sounds like, in this game. And I think, LA is going to have a tough time getting the running game going, against a really good Steelers defense. I think they're going to play a lot better. They play better, because they even against the Ravens, they made plays there in the red zone. They got some help from Lamar. I think defense is going to get after Matthew Stafford this week, and I think they're going to have some trouble. And I think Kenny Pickett does enough in this one, and I think Tomlin as well. Cooper Kupp's going to make some plays. We know that, but I think Mike Tomlin's going to try to limit him enough where he's not going to absolutely beat them in this game. And I get Steelers pulling out a close one.
Yeah, it should be a good game between those two teams. We got an NFC West matchup in Seattle between the Cardinals and the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks cruise in this game. I don't think this is a game where Geno Smith can't screw it up. I think Kenneth Walker is a big game. I think he throws a couple touchdown passes. And I think the defense forces a couple turnovers from Joshua Dobbs. I think the Cardinals are kind of starting to show who they are, and they did last week, I think, against the Rams. I think the Seahawks defense is going to play really well. Devin Witherspoon, he's a stud. I think they're going to get pressure on Dobbs, force a couple turnovers. I think the Seahawks win this one easily. I think Seahawks win at 31-13 over the Cardinals. But, Justin, can the Cards hand the Seahawks their second straight loss?
No, I got Seattle bounce back this week, 27-14. Again, Arizona, they played a good first half. They kept it close there, and then they get blown out the second half. That's really what happens. This will be a one-score game at halftime, and Arizona in the second half just, they'll get blown out. Yeah, and I think Geno, this has got to be a good get-right game for them. They got the weapons. The offensive line wasn't great, but I thought a lot of his sacks, he just kind of held on the ball a little bit too long at times. And I think this offense kind of figures it out. The Giants defensively played, well enough against Seattle. Their offense didn't help them out, of course, but this is a week for Seattle where they gotta get right. They're at home. Dobbs makes some plays in the passing game, but it's just not enough. And Seattle's offense, it's a get right week for them.
We will wrap up talking about the Monday night game between the Niners and the Vikings. Niners come into this game banged up. We don't know if McCaffrey's going to play. We don't know if Deebo's going to play. So that's why I think the game's going to be closer than people think. I think Minnesota, Brian Flores defense will keep the Vikings in this game, but when it comes down to it, you're going to have Kirk Cousins against the Niners defense. And when that's happening late in the game, if he has to score, if he needs to score late in the game, I'm taking the Niners defense any day of the week against Kirk Cousins. That's why I got the Vikings going to 2-5. I got the Niners bouncing back. I got the Niners winning 21-13. But Justin, can Cousins and the Vikings hand the Niners their second straight loss?
I don't see it happening this week. I got Niners 23-14. I think, without Justin Jefferson in this game, and, Minnesota's offense, I know it was very windy out in Chicago last week, and the Vikings played up there, but they still could not run the football. Their offense really could not get much going. Now you're expecting it to get going against the Niners defense. I think they're gonna have a hard time. I think the Niners defense is gonna score a touchdown in this one. I think Brock Purdy bounces back, plays well. I think it's gonna be a tough game for Kirk Cousins, that offense. I think he's gonna get sacked multiple times, and Vikings will probably turn the ball over at least 2-3 times in this one.
Yeah, I could expect that to happen. I think they're going to turn the ball over a couple times. And, I think the Vikings go 2-5. But that's going to wrap up this edition of Sports Talk with R&J. But we will be back in about 10 minutes to talk about the big game in the baseball playoffs. We've seen the Phillies, be dominant so far in the NLCS. So we'll talk about that. And we will be talking about the big game in the Horseshoe. So make sure you tune in for that.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley. And Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is his availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this. They lob it to him. He taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach of college basketball, hands down.
Vince 2 for 3. He's done his part. Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is God.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Meat, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.